Shalom, and welcome to Challenging Torah. The portion this week, Beha'alotechah, begins in light and ends in darkness. It's kind of the reflection of human beings, this vacillation endlessly between tov and ra, between light and dark, between our very highest selves as we stood at Sinai and our lowest selves as we stuff meat into our mouth and complain about the manna. It's life. We begin with light because Aaron is told, when you light the lamps, the 7 lamps shall give light in front of the lampstand. And the statement always is in Proverbs, Ner mitzvah v'Torah or. The lamp or the candle is the mitzvah that we do, and the light that it sheds, that's the light of Torah. And our fulfillment of the commandments at Sinai are what bring light into the world and what keep us aligned with God's will. We stood at Sinai, we said, Na'aseh v'nishma. It was a moment of union with God. And unfortunately, it's very difficult for human beings to stay in that elevated state for very long. We see it in our own lives. God fulfilled God's promise. They said, please, we will not, Moses even says, we will not go on without you. And so, it says in the portion, and on the day the tabernacle was erected, the cloud covered the tabernacle, the tent of testimony, and in the evening there was upon the tabernacle the appearance of fire until morning. Wow, what if we could have God's presence just hanging out, making sure right over the synagogue that we knew God was with us. But even then, it's hard just to stay in that elevated space, in a space of emunah, in a space of trust. Human beings are fallible. And so what do human beings do best? Especially Jewish human beings, it appears, complain. And so, the people took to complaining bitterly. And the Lord heard it, and his anger was kindled, and the fire of the Lord burnt among them and consumed those who were on the outer edges of the camp. Poof. Sometimes as a parent, I'm sure you would like to just have, I told you no, I told you no, I told you no, fire from the nostrils, boom, and then you make up and say, I love you. Well, not that simple. So God, God's got an angry side too. And the people continue to complain. The next thing they complain about is, I'm reminded of the Jewish joke where the waiter comes over to the 3 old Jewish ladies and says, is there anything okay with the meal? That's where we are. We complain about food. Food seems to be the way we can instantly look for gratification. And so, the mixed multitude that was among them had a strong craving. What happened to our meat? What is this manna? Manna, which could taste like anything. Why didn't they just make it taste like meat? It could taste like anything, and it fell, and everybody got enough, and it sparkled like crystals, and it came every day, and you had to trust it would come, but after a week or so, you could see that as long as you didn't take more than your portion, it would show up. They complained bitterly about the manna, and they wept again and said, who shall give us meat to eat? Ah, they say, we remember the fish which we ate in Egypt for nothing. The cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, the garlic. Well, they were slaves. What fish? We have no incident in Torah where we saw them all sitting down to a great piece of little fried tilapia. This is their memory, and they are rewriting a story, right? We rewrite the stories of our lives, and we ask ourselves, free fish? That's what it's all about. What free fish do you sacrifice your goals and ideals for, just so that you have a level of comfort? It's difficult. they continue to complain. Aviva Zornberg, whose original book is called The Beginning of Desire, about Genesis, has now written a book, Bewilderments, where she talks about the sexual desire of this people, this ragtag group, moving through the desert. And of course they stood at Sinai and had a list of forbidden sexual unions. And according to Zornberg, it's kind of what they're complaining about also. They had an easy sexuality. Now it's restricted. Now the human lower base instincts are fighting with the highest place of a human being, which is the Israelites standing at Sinai, one-on-one with God, each one in his own way. We are endlessly fighting between the Tov, the good, and the Ra. And so Moses is desperate as well. And the anger of the Lord was continued greatly, and Moses also was displeased, we are told. And Moses says, have I conceived these people? He says to God. Have I fathered them? That you should say to me, carry them in your bosom, like the nursing father. A nursing father, ha'oman, it's usually an omenet. Like the nursing father carries a child into the land which I swore to their fathers. Am I supposed to be the nursemaid, Moses says? It almost sounds like, desperate housewives of the desert. I'm fed up with nursing these kids. I've had it. I'm leaving home. Moses calms down. But he asks the question, from where should I give these people meat to eat? They weep to me saying, give us meat. How am I supposed to feed these people? And God says, trust, emunah, have faith in me. I'll give him meat. Doesn't happen until the next chapter. It's not a pretty picture. As we vacillate between the good and the bad, human beings not only are subject to sexual hungers, to cravings, but the one we all get is gossip. And so, from the place where we use words to create a world, to say, Na'aseh v'nishma, I will do and I will follow these commandments, we come down to Aaron and Miriam sitting in front of the tabernacle gossiping about their sister. And there's a racial context to it, the Cushite woman. It's all those bad things of gossip. God hears. God gets very angry, calls them into the tent. And Miriam is punished with leprosy. And Moses it is said, is the most humble of men. That even though God says, that is my servant Moses, how dare you talk about him like that? Moses looks at his sister and says, Anna, Elna, Rafanallah, please God, heal her now, and uses his words to heal and not to harm. We hope that we can stay in that expanded consciousness, at least through a Shabbat, as we struggle through the desert of our lives. Shabbat Shalom.